Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be going on a journey, a personalized orientation to Immigration Bridging Academy, specifically designed for you. So we understand you're a young African professional,
Yeah.
and you're seeking, greener pastures abroad, and you've got your sights set on Canada, working there, studying, maybe even settling down permanently. It's a big dream, and we're here to help you figure out if this program is the right path for you.
That's right. Canada offers incredible opportunities, but the immigration process, it can feel like navigating a maze, right? But just understanding the steps involved, it can make all the difference. So, in this deep dive, let's explore the Federal Skilled Trades Program. It might just be your ticket to Canada.
From what I've been reading, this program seems like a direct route to Canadian permanent residency, which is, that's a pretty big deal. And here's what's fascinating. It covers a wide range of skilled trades. From construction and transportation to manufacturing and even agriculture, you might already be picturing where your skills fit in.
Absolutely. But before you pack your bags, there's a crucial first step. So Canada uses something called the National Occupational Classification, or NOC, to categorize jobs. You can think of it as a giant dictionary of occupations. Finding your specific trade in this NOC list, and then understanding the required skill level is crucial for your eligibility. You can actually search for your occupation on the government website and see where you stand.
Okay, so let's say you found your NOC match and everything looks good. What's next on this Canadian venture?
Well, you need to show that you've got the experience to back it up. The program requires 2 years of work experience in your trade, which translates to about 3,120 hours. Now, you might be thinking, what if I've had a few different jobs? Well, the good news is those hours can be combined, even if they were part-time gigs.
That's great. I remember when I first started looking into immigration programs, I felt overwhelmed by the work experience requirements. So it's reassuring to know there's some flexibility.
Definitely. But it's important to note that any work experience you gained as a student, it doesn't count toward this requirement. So keep that in mind when you're calculating your total hours.
Good point. Now, let's say you've got the right NOC match and the work experience to prove it. What else do we need to know?
Here's where it gets interesting. To be eligible for the program, you'll need one of two things. Either a valid job offer in Canada for at least a year, or a certificate of qualification in your trade.
A certificate of qualification. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah.
What exactly is it and how do you get one?
It's essentially proof that you meet Canadian standards for your trade. Think of it as a stamp of approval. It's ensuring quality and safety across the board. Obtaining one involves an assessment process, and this process varies depending on the specific trade.
Now, I know some professions. They aren't regulated at a provincial level. What happens in those cases? Does that mean you can't apply through this program?
Not necessarily. There are some trades regulated at the federal level, and those are still valid pathways. The Canadian Information Center for International Credentials, they can guide you on who regulates your specific trade and how to get assessed. It's a fantastic resource for anyone looking to work in Canada.
That's a relief. So we've covered work experience, NOC codes, and certificates of qualification. What about language skills? I imagine those are pretty important when immigrating to a new country, especially one like Canada with 2 official languages.
You're absolutely right. Language proficiency is essential. You'll need to demonstrate your abilities in either English or French.
I know a lot of people get tripped up by the language requirements. Any advice for our listeners who might be feeling a bit nervous about that part?
Of course. First, don't panic. Plenty of resources are available to help you improve your language skills. You'll need to take an approved language test. And the key is to practice all 4 areas: writing, reading, listening, and speaking. Remember, the better your language skills are, the better your chances of finding a good job and integrating into Canadian society.
That makes sense. I can see how strong language skills would open more doors. Okay, so we've tackled language proficiency. Now, let's talk about education. I know a lot of immigration programs, they have specific educational requirements. What about this one?
That's an interesting point. So the Federal Skilled Trades Program itself, it doesn't have a formal education requirement. You don't necessarily need a degree to be eligible.
Really? No degree? That's pretty surprising. I would have thought education would be a major factor.
It can be. While it's not mandatory for the program itself, it can definitely boost your chances of being selected. Canada uses a system called Express Entry to manage applications for various immigration programs, including this one.
Okay, hold on. Back up a second. Can you tell us a bit more about this Express Entry system?
Sure. It's essentially a points-based system where candidates are ranked based on factors like age, work experience, education, and language skills. The higher your score, the better your chances of receiving an invitation to apply for permanent residency.
So, even though a degree isn't required for the program, having one could significantly increase your score in the express entry pool.
Right, exactly. And if you have a foreign degree, getting it assessed can also boost your score. It shows that your education is equivalent to Canadian standards.
That's a great tip for our listeners.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears and talk about finances. Moving to a new country can be expensive, and I imagine Canada wants to make sure newcomers can support themselves financially.
You're right. Canada has a proof of funds requirement, which means you need to show that you have enough money to cover your living expenses when you arrive. Of course, if you have a family coming with you, you'll need to show you can support them too.
I can imagine that can be a hurdle for some people. Is there any way around that requirement?
Thankfully, yes. If you already have a valid job offer in Canada and are legally allowed to work there, you might be exempt from the proof of funds requirement. So securing that job offer, it can make a big difference in your immigration journey.
That's a huge relief for anyone with a job lined up. It takes a lot of the pressure off. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. What happens if Canada simply decides you're not welcome?
That's a valid concern, and it's important to be aware of Canada's admissibility criteria. Factors like security, criminal history, and even medical conditions can come into play. While we can't go into detail here, it's essential to research the specific criteria and ensure you meet them.
I get it. No one wants to get their hopes up, only to be turned away at the last minute. So let's assume everything checks out. You meet all the requirements, you've got your documents in order, and you're deemed admissible. Where in Canada can you actually settle down?
Great question. Remember, the Federal Skilled Trades Program, it's for those looking to live outside of Quebec. Quebec has its own immigration system, so if you're dreaming of living in Montreal or Quebec City, you'll need to explore their specific programs.
Gotcha. So no Quebec. What about the other provinces? Is it a free-for-all, or are there any restrictions?
It depends on how you're applying. If you're going through the regular Federal Skilled Trades Program, you have some flexibility in choosing where you want to settle. However, if you're a provincial nominee, which means a specific province has invited you to apply, then you're committed to living in that particular province.
Okay, I see how that works. That makes sense. So let's recap everything we've covered so far. We've talked about finding your NOC match, proving your work experience, and securing either a job offer or a certificate of qualification. We've also discussed the importance of language proficiency, the express entry system, the proof of funds requirement, and admissibility criteria.
Wow, that's a lot of information to process.
It can feel overwhelming, but that's where Immigration Bridging Academy comes in. We're here to break it down into manageable steps
Yeah,
and guide you through the entire process.
it really is a lot to digest. But having a guide definitely makes the whole process less daunting. So for our listener out there, what would you say are the key takeaways from all of this information? Well, the biggest one is this program. It isn't just about ticking boxes. It's about finding a place where your skills and aspirations can truly flourish. Canada is looking for skilled individuals who can contribute to their economy and society. So think about what makes you unique. What strengths, passions, and experiences do you bring to the table?
I love that perspective. It's not just about meeting requirements, it's about finding the right fit.
Yeah.
And Canada offers so much in terms of personal and professional growth, with its thriving economy, diverse society, and high quality of life.
Exactly. And that's where Immigration Bridging Academy really shines. We're passionate about helping individuals like you, young African professionals, navigate the complexities of Canadian immigration. We offer personalized guidance, resources, and support to make your journey as smooth as possible.
You're not just handing someone a map, you're walking alongside them,
Yeah.
helping them navigate each turn.
Precisely. We help you understand the specific requirements, gather the necessary documents, and prepare a strong application. We're here to answer your questions, address your concerns, and provide the support you need every step of the way.
That sounds incredibly reassuring, especially for someone feeling overwhelmed by the process. So what's the next step for our listener who's thinking, okay, this sounds like the right path for me. What do I do now?
The best thing to do is book a free consultation with our team. It's a no-obligation opportunity to discuss your individual profile, explore your options, and determine if the Federal Skilled Trades Program is the right fit for your aspirations.
Consider it a personalized roadmap to your Canadian dream. We can help you assess your eligibility, understand the process, and develop a clear plan of action.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe Canada is the perfect place for you to build a successful future.
Well, this has been an incredibly informative deep dive into the world of Immigration Bridging Academy. and the Federal Skilled Trades Program. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and hopefully given our listener a much clearer understanding of what this journey entails.
Absolutely. Remember, this is just the beginning. Take that first step. Explore your options. And let Immigration Bridging Academy be your guide on this exciting journey.
That's a wrap on our deep dive. We hope you found this orientation valuable and inspiring. Your Canadian adventure awaits.